Hey guys, today I'm finally going to be showing you guys my Berry Mentat run. Berry Mentats are so useful in Fallout 76. If you are grinding for XP, if you just want extra intelligence, extra experience, this is the way to go. It is a chem in the game that will give you +5 intelligence and will target living targets for 5 minutes. The highlighting the living targets is really nice, but what I love this for is the extra intelligence. So this is a great way to get your intelligence higher and higher, but what's really great about this is that you can farm it. You can farm it all on your own. You don't have to buy this. It can be kind of expensive if you're buying it from vendors in the game, so I would say just go ahead and craft it. I'm not gonna show you guys how to farm mentats in this video. If anything, I'll do that in another video, but what I do want to talk about today is how to farm the actual Berry Mentats. So before we get into it, let's just go over the recipe so everybody's on the same page. To craft Berry Mentats, you're gonna need one of each: brain fungus, firecracker berry, mentat, and starlight berry. These are all things you can farm. Now, I will say before we get into the actual farming location, I am not as extremist. I'm not gonna go to every single possible location known to mankind. What I will be doing is showing you guys the highlights, because this is something that I personally like to do just whenever I'm playing and I'm in between events, in between raids, things like that. So I have quite a stockpile. Listen, ever since they added this aged storage box, I'm obsessed with farming again, because now I can actually carry all of these chems instead of just, lugging them around and keeping my carry weight down or keeping my stash box weight down. So if you have Fallout first, the aged storage box is gonna come to your help. It's also, I'm not gonna show how to farm regular mentats in this video. If you guys want that, I will do that at a later date. A lot of it is along the same path, so it's not that hard. But to be quite honest with you, I have over, what do I have? I have over 200 mentats right now, and I know that I'm not gonna need more than that for this video. One of the things I would recommend before you actually get into this is, if you can, throw on a refrigerated modification onto your backpack that you're using. Just that way your food won't spoil as fast. Or if you want, you alternatively could use the Good with Salt perk card. Another perk card that I always use whenever I am farming for anything is the Green Thumb perk card. So reap twice as much when harvesting flora. This is a perception card. It's only a 1-star. Throw it on, you're gonna get twice as many results. So everything that we're picking up, you will get twice as many. This is definitely useful. Another card that you're definitely gonna wanna throw on is Chemist. And this is an intelligence card. It's also only a 1-star. What Chemist does is it will give you twice the amount whenever you are crafting chems. Instead of just getting 1, you'll get 2. So you're gonna increase it that way. And last card to throw on, this is under luck. It is a 3-star card, is Super Duper. Super Duper at a 3-star says, when you craft anything, there is a 30% chance that you will get double the results. This is so worth it when you are crafting a large amount of Berry Mentats. If you can, do this in a group, have a friend follow you around. The only kind of limiting factor here when you are doing it in a group is going to be the firecracker berries, just because they tend to spawn only so many in a server, and that's mainly because these are an animated flora. So they have that little crackling, exploding animation, which means there's only so many that you can grab per server. Now let's get into the bath. Editing me coming in because I didn't realize I didn't actually put in a minute to show an actual map. So I'm gonna put that up on the screen right now. That way you can see what's going on, where we're going, and I will save as much of the footage as I can, but that way there's at least a reference of where we're going, what the path is. The location I always start at is at the Slocum's Joe, just right here on the map. Fast traveling here, it's a little bit easier to see during certain times of the day. Typically right when you spawn in, I'm gonna go ahead and ping every time there is a possible location or even an actual location, so you're gonna see this. There are a bunch of starlight creeper berries in this entire location. This is just immediately where you spawn in. I usually actually head back this way, so we're gonna head south first and head by this little house right here, this yellow house. And again, they're not gonna always spawn in, but they typically will. So there's usually some right here by this little doghouse area. There's usually one kind of by this sign right here. You can see it right here, right on the corner of the road. And there are usually there's usually at least one, I think, back this way. Something to note, whenever you do see a fire cap, there typically is at least one starlight berry plant nearby. So, oh, yep, and I was just being blind. So there's that starlight creeper right here. I'm not gonna go into the regular mentat farm today, but fire caps are very useful for that. So again, you're gonna be overlapping a lot of locations. And then again, following back towards this house, I guess it's a pink house and a yellow garage. Anyways, going back towards that way, we're gonna grab these guys here. You kind of just have to be vigilant, just keep looking. These berries they have a very specific kind of coloration. Again, it's a little bit easier to see when it's nighttime in the game because they have a subtle glow to them. It's nothing crazy. It's not like the firecracker berries, which are very much in your face glowing, but these ones are definitely, they're visible, you can kind of see they have this kind of bright orange berry with this, really pretty red leaf kind of moment. And again, you'll see fire caps whenever there's a starlight berry. So now we're at the actual exterior of the Slocum's Joe. Did not spawn in for me today, but there's usually one right here. You can see the plant, you just can't see the actual berries off of it, but right on this little energy pole. Is that the right term? energy pole, power line. That's the word, power line, right? On this power line, you'll see there is a location for them to spawn. There's also another one just right around the back of the building here. And I'm just gonna quickly come right up on these rocks here. Get this guy right here. So just on the backside of the Slocum's Joe. Now I'm gonna head along these train tracks. We're gonna be heading north on these train tracks. There's a couple that kind of spawn around here. It's not like super life or death. Like, here's the thing. I want this path to be enjoyable. I don't want this to be a pain in the ass to do. So I'm not being 100% completionist. Like, this is not every starlight berry in the entire game. I do not want to just drive myself crazy doing that every single day and, oh my God, where's every single location? No, I'm doing this to have fun, right? And you do get a lot of them just going around, you know? So here's a location where it would spawn in. This is right outside of, I believe this is called Gully Mine. Yep, Gully Mine. Didn't spawn in for me today. It's not the end of the world if they don't spawn in, you know? All right, so following these train tracks, we're gonna continue heading north. There's not really any that spawn in this little area here. So to the west of Gully Mine. So we can just keep following this path here. Also, what's kind of nice about that little fire cap, knowing that, is that if you see that bright, obnoxious little orange guy right there, you know there's something nearby. So they do kind of help clue you in. So we're gonna grab these starlight berries here, and look at that. There's one right next to it. Let's grab that. Damn, so many NPCs today. What are we doing, guys? So back on this path. And you can see there are some starlight berries to the side here. We got 2 of them right here. I'll periodically pop up my map so you guys can see where I am. So like right now, I'm right in between Gully Mine exit and Gully Mine, but following these train tracks. And you can see some more starlight berries right here. And I'm gonna kind of just go up and down this little area here really quick, just in between the main road and where I was just grabbing those on the train tracks. And yep, we can find some more right here. It's a lot easier to see these at night, but it's not the end of the world, you know? All right, so kind of just roundabout way to double check, but looks like I got everything. All right, so just fast traveling back to where I was, again, just kind of in between Gully Mine. Where am I? Yeah, I'm actually a little bit closer to Gully Mine exit. And also, if you're placing down a survival tent to fast travel and come back and things, just be a little mindful of where you're placing it, because you could be covering up some of these starlight berries. Just be cautious of that. And again, just checking up and down this little area here. Once I kind of get to where the train tracks kind of head over this way is when I'm gonna actually backtrack. So we'll keep following them for right now though. So we're heading more towards the Gully Mine exit now. And there actually are, I think, like 2 that spawn in kind of just right by the Gully Mine exit itself. But as you can see, getting even more. Looks like I missed one back here. Grab that. Again, we can see a fire cap, so I'm just checking if there's anything over here. I'm not super completionist. You know, again, I still am like trying to have fun with this game, you know? All right, so now we're at the Gully Mine exit, just about. There's usually, so yeah, we can see a fire cap right here. So there's usually a starlight berry somewhere around here. Yep, right here. I could have sworn there was a second one somewhere around here. I just maybe am missing it. Nope, there it is, right there, right here. Kind of just have to keep looking for it, hoping to find it. There's one right here as well, right by this bridge. And you can see 2 more right here. We got one right here. So this is just to the east here. So by this bridge here, and another one right here. And I would always say check underneath any of the bridges that are kind of on this little pathway here, just to make sure you didn't miss anything, because there are some that just kind of sit underneath here. Yep, like this guy right here. Got this guy right here. Again, also near that bridge, but also kind of near that road area. And look at that fire cap to help you know. Fire caps are kind of nice because they will kind of draw attention to the areas they would spawn in. Like again, this guy right here, look at that. Fire cap right there is what really got me into it, because you can see that bright orange. There would be another one here. I either already got it, which is a good chance, or it just didn't spawn in, but marking it so you guys can see. So that's basically where I want to stop on this side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk back just to be safe in case I miss anything, but I'm going to stay on the side of the river just because I don't want to get mixed up in my path. So I'm just walking back this way, but staying, again, more on the side of the road, if that makes sense. Just in case I miss anything. I don't think that I did, but we are gonna start going along that Riverside by the Slocum's Joe. You can't just fast travel there. I'm just double checking, making sure I didn't miss anything. So now we're basically just heading south again. So yeah, so we already got these ones, but again, if you miss them, they would be just right in the middle here. Looks like I didn't miss anything. Perfect. I didn't think that I would, but you never know. You never know. So now we're gonna go basically right outside the Slocum's Joe here, basically where the Slocum's Joe is on the road, if that makes sense. There's a little kind of divot out here to this river area. There's usually like a couple, we're gonna head eventually down this like little river area, but if you just come this way where there's like a little tent kind of camping area on the opposite side there, you can see there's some starlight berries, so we're just gonna grab those. I know some of my friends, when they're farming this, they'll switch into third person so they can try to see more. I hate playing in third person, so for me, that's just not the move, but it's always an option available to you, so I figure I'll throw it out there. So we're gonna head through this river here. There's like only a handful on this left side here. For good measure, we're gonna get them. There's also a handful of the firecracker berries, but to be quite honest, this is not the way I like to get them, so I'm not gonna do that. Just to save me time and peace of mind kind of thing, I'm gonna head over onto the right side here. This is where more of the starlight berries do spawn in, so this is where I'm heading next. There's like this little, yeah, kind of in the shadows. So again, just depending on the time of day, it's a little easier to see than otherwise. There's not like too many, to be quite honest with you here, but while I'm here, there's usually one that spawns in right by this big tree here on the opposite side of the river. There's none right now, but that's where it would spawn in. And so we're gonna hop back over to the side where they actually will spawn in. More of them. There's just more of them available. There should be one right here, but it just didn't spawn in today. That's okay. We got this one right here. So, you know, it all works out in the end. I'm pretty sure that's just about it on this side of the river. So we're by this big truck here. Yep, one would spawn in here, but it did not today. Hopping onto the other side of the river, there's really not that many through here. I think there's like maybe one more that I just didn't grab. Let me take a look. I think it's just down this way. Which again, like here's the thing. The more you do this path, the more that you'll get kind of familiar with where they are, where they spawn in, you know, trial by error, you know, practice makes perfect type of thing. Don't worry about getting every single one today. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna show a couple guaranteed spots to get some starlight berries. So like, obviously they won't always spawn in, but this is where they will always be. And those are actual locations that you can just go to. This is kind of the more messy part of this guide where it's just like, hey, we gotta check out these locations and hope for the best. It's nothing crazy. Yeah, so that was just about it right there. So now we're basically where we were on the other side when we were following those train tracks earlier. So now we can go on this side of the river here. There's nothing really that spawns in here. I think we already went actually through here. Nothing really spawns up this way to the, what is that, the north? Northwest here, where there's like that little bus situation here. I think there's maybe a handful that spawn in this little area here though, so we can take a look. But that area up ahead, this area, why is it not letting me ping? That area up ahead is where we're gonna go next. That's where we're gonna get a decent bit. I'm just gonna take a quick look through here. I don't really remember there being too many that spawn in here, if at all, so we'll take a look. Not that worried about it. Yeah, I don't see any. But you see this little area that's almost like a little island, if you will, in between this river. There's usually quite a few through here. And there's also those very convenient fire caps telling us where to go. So we got one fire cap right here, and would you look at that? There is a starlight berry. Let's grab that. You can see these fire caps here. Again, it's not always like guaranteed that they'll be there. There's usually one right by, yep, there's one right here. And then there's also one on that other, what do you call that? Power line? Yeah, one right here on this other power line. And then there's like, I think like just a handful here on the other side of the river. Not many, just right here. And I was saying this on the other side of the path, but make sure you're always checking underneath these bridges. We'll get there in a second. There's like a couple, I think just one honestly that spawns in right here. Yeah, this guy right here. Didn't spawn in for me today. As you can see, there's nothing there, but that one will spawn in just along that little fence there. So now we're gonna go check underneath this river. Did we miss anything? I don't think so. Underneath this, sorry, what did I say? Underneath this bridge. Yeah, no, we didn't really miss anything at this bridge, but we'll go to the next one. And despite us being here earlier, look at that, missed another one. So grab them. You know, and here's the thing, it's like not being as life and death about it is really how to do it in my opinion, because then, you know, you're not gonna like beat yourself up over missing a couple, you know, berries or whatever, but it's also just a lot easier to just do this consistently. And that's the thing, is like I would say I kind of took a break from doing this for a while just because I keep pushing off like, oh, I'm gonna film today, and then I never do. It's pretty convenient to get yourself into a habit of like, if you like doing this, you know, nobody's forcing you at gunpoint to play this game in a way you don't want to play, but it's convenient to get into like kind of a habit of just, hey, if I'm on and I've got nothing to do and there's no events I care about, or I'm not, you know, with a big party or anything, go ahead and farm, you know, go ahead and run around, grab any of the starlight berries that you can. It's just a good way to get in the habit of, you know, building up on them. And the good thing with Berry Mentats too is that like, personally, I find myself giving them away a lot, but the other thing is like, I do use them a lot. So it's convenient in that aspect, but it's also convenient because, again, ever since that Fallout First feature was added where we have that chem storage box, love that. But also like, dude, help other people out. You can also sell them though at your vendor and people will buy them. I try not to overprice them too much. Like, I think at most I'll charge like 50 caps. Really isn't much. Anyway, sorry, continuing on this path because I've just been talking. We're gonna be continuing east. We're following back on the train tracks again. And you can see there's more, This one actually typically would spawn in, there's 2 plants next to each other, just the other one didn't actually spawn in, and that's okay. Checking under this bridge. I think there's usually one that spawns in somewhere around here. Maybe not, maybe I'm mixing it up. Yeah, so we're just gonna head across. Typically, actually, right past this bridge is kind of where I stop looking when we get up to this kind of like train track moment. So I think that's just about it actually in this little area. So let's see what we got right now for our starlight berries. We are sitting at 77. Oh, I have some that are gonna go bad soon. I think that's from my collectron, which I will dive into later. So I have a decent amount. I didn't realize I had that many before, so that's my bad. But you do get a decent amount just off of that. This is where I'm gonna kind of stop the weird hide and seek moment. We're just gonna go to locations now. So now I'm gonna take you guys to the first location of guaranteed spots, if you will. So we're gonna go to Black Mountain Ordnance Works. There's a couple that will spawn in this area, guaranteed. Like, I mean, obviously if you just pick them on your last server and you didn't reset your items kind of thing, they might not, but this is a location where they will spawn in. Before we actually head into that location, I will say there's some that hang out along this back road here, some along this riverside here. So, I mean, like, look, I'm right here, I'll grab them. We got this guy right here and this one right here. Nothing crazy, nothing crazy. And there's sometimes some back around this way. Honestly, I don't even care. I don't care. I'd rather get done with this. So I'm gonna head back into the actual location that we're going to. So Black Mountain Ordnance Works. There's usually a couple like protectrons and things like that they're gonna spawn in this area. Nothing crazy again. And really where we wanna go is kind of where all of the radiation is. So fun. So I'm just gonna go straight here where this kind of like little barrel moment is. Hold on. Kind of where these like little tubes and things like that are. Just to point out, they would spawn in. There would be this guy here. They don't always spawn in. With every plant in the game, they don't always spawn in. We got this guy here though, would have spawned in. Would you look at that? Whoa, things spawn in. Because I'm God's favorite, and that's why I won't get raptured. Got this guy here again by these radiation kind of barrels and things like that. This one would spawn in, just didn't today. And heading back just this way, there were a couple here. So we got one that would have spawned in, again it didn't today, but not the end of the world. But we do have this guy here. This one again could have but didn't, and one right here. So it all adds up. So we're gonna go to our next location. We are gonna head to the deep. So it's right by the White Springs. I mean, technically it's not actually, now I'm looking at it, but it's close. So we're gonna go to the deep next. This location has kind of just a handful, but it is worth checking out. Sometimes I won't even hit it up, I'll be honest, but just to show some of the more easy to just go to locations instead of like, oh, I don't know where I'm heading up and down this path. Just check it out. Go here. Go to the deep. I'm gonna take a Radaway if I have one on me, just because there's some toxic water in here and I am bloodied. I don't want to die. There's some cave crickets that spawn in here. It's just the vibe. Yep. Don't do that. Now, I will say there's some brain fungus. I didn't grab it along the way. Let me just do it now. Brain fungus is another thing on our item list. So if you see it, just grab it. We're gonna need that for later. But that's not my priority here. It's just here. You know what I mean? So we're gonna swim through this water here. And I always keep my light on just so I can see where I'm going. When you dive under here, I believe it's to the right. There's like a little bit where it splits off. Yeah, so right here, we're gonna go to the right and head up. Here's where I want us to be, in this part of the cave. It's gonna be all very pretty, very pink, very pinky, purpley, red vibes through here. There is, I think, like a couple more cave crickets, yeah, that will spawn in. Just be aware of them. But what we are back here for is more starlight berries, baby. Let's go. Got this guy here. We got this guy here. Didn't spawn in, but would have. This guy here. I might have already mentioned this one. I don't remember. Through here as well. Looks like that might be it right now. I think there's some actually also by the actual entrance, but I don't honestly ever care enough. Just grabbing some brain fungus on our way out. That's just about it. All right, so we're now gonna head to our next location for starlight berries, and this is actually gonna be our last location for starlight berries. We're gonna head to the old Crimora mines. This is in the Skyline Valley region, so quite south on your map. Hello, lovely girl. So we are now at the old Crimora lanes. It's actually a pretty decent time for you to see the color difference here because it is dark and stormy. Of course, I mean, you see where we are. Anyways, here's where one would spawn in. We don't have it there, but I like to kind of go on this little like path here. You can kind of see this little dirt path and they're usually kind of popping up along here. So you can see, I did just highlight that, so it's not really showing that well. You can see though that these berries, they do slightly glow. It's nothing crazy, but they do slightly have a tint to them. I'm gonna put my light on just because I need to see, Here's where another one would have spawned in. There's gonna be a couple cultists here. This is one of their layers, it's expected. You can see a couple more here. There's a couple here, I feel. And then there's definitely some like way closer to the mine, so we're gonna just head over there. So just along this wall of this rock here. We got this guy here and this guy here. This one kind of floating, honestly. But yeah, not like a bunch, but it's a good way to get just some, you know. We're gonna get some brain fungus next. There's two locations that I really like to use. I like to use either the Wendigo Cave or Big Maw. Let's take a look at how many starlight berries we have before we decide where we're going. Yeah, we got 96. So I'm leaning towards us going to the Wendigo Cave, so let's do that. But Big Maw, that is another, so Big Maw, kind of near the retreat right here. This is a really good location. The only thing is that sometimes the brain fungus looks a little weird colored, so it's a little harder to find. But I like to go to the Wendigo Cave. There's always ghouls in this area, so just, you know, keep an eye out as if there's anything else to do here, really. All right, we're gonna head in. So heading in, we're just gonna grab all the brain fungus as much as possible. And there is so much in here. This is usually like a one-stop shop. It's great. This is a great location. It is a little bit of a winding, kind of confusing path, I will say. So that's why I threw out the Big Maw as another location, just in case you have a hard time finding it or finding all of the brain fungus through here. But again, this isn't like a super completionist path. Like, get what you can, don't stress about it. You know, it's just a game. All of this, just a game. I usually kind of try to stick to like one side of this little cave area and then go from there. There are bits of this cave that I would definitely recommend if you have marsupials and if you have a jetpack to use, because you're going to want to be jumping up all the way to some very high locations just to make sure you get absolutely everything. See, I'm just going to come back this way. When you have the green thumb perk on, it just makes things so much easier because you're collecting twice as many of every little thing that you need to get. So it's just a great way to get so much more brain fungus, everything that you need. And like, I'm not really even in this cave yet. Let's take a look at how many I have. Already got 52. Like, you're getting so many. I will throw out some other locations. I'm kind of just going to be talking while I'm walking through this. I mean, you guys can figure out a layout on your own. I'm positive of it. But some other locations that would be good to get more brain fungus. Big Maw is a great one. And then the White Springs service entrance. There's like a bunch of dumpsters that just have a bunch of brain fungus in them. So that's where you're gonna wanna go. So yeah, this is that part of that cave that right here that I was talking about, where you're gonna wanna kind of jump and kind of just hope for the best here. Key smash a little bit to just get everything. There we go. This cave has a lot of ghouls and a lot of mirelurks, so that is something to be cautious of. Nothing you shouldn't be able to take care of though, you know? A lot of key smashing, honestly. It's a little bit annoying. All right, and since we just need one of each, let's see how I'm doing right now. I'm at 84 brain fungus and we have 96 starlight berries, so I just need a handful more. So this one location typically does it for me. It just kind of just comes down to my preference. Do I want to go to the Wendigo Cave or do I want to go to Big Maw? They're both great locations and definitely get more than you need. When you are doing like a bunch with a group, that's kind of when you might want to actually go to both locations in case one of your friends gets like way more starlight berries than you or something like that, because they will spawn in different, even if you're on the same server. They will spawn in different for you and your friends. I've had that happen many times. This one location does so much. So our last thing that we need is firecracker berries, and I did save that for last strategically because of timing. These are ones that will show up the best at night. So I have two locations that we're gonna head to. We're gonna start at Arctos Farmos, which is gonna be actually kind of close to that Slocum Joe we were at earlier. So just depending on what time you're actually doing this farming in game, sometimes I'll start with the berries just because they're so time sensitive, just being able to actually see them. So I'll just kind of get them when I'm in the same area. There are also a handful of starlight berries throughout this little area as well, so it's just something to keep in mind. So we're just gonna kind of walk the perimeter here. I like doing this part without the light for my Pip-Boy on, just so that way we can actually see the firecracker berries a little bit easier. And yeah, so we're just kind of on this little perimeter here. You can see, here's what they look like at night. Now these ones do have an animation, so if you don't grab them fast enough, they will burst and they will hurt your character. Shouldn't be anything you can't handle, but just as a heads up, they have a little bit of a time sensitivity to them. I'm trying to talk louder than my dog playing with her toy right now, so I'm so sorry if you guys hear that in the background. Again, it's really useful to do this one at night just because they do glow. They kind of just call attention to themselves. I just realized I wasn't even pinging any of these. I'm so sorry. So I'll ping these on the next one. Sorry about that. The berries light up. It's a little bit easier to see them. You wanna come say hi? This is the girl who keeps playing with toys in the background. So we're gonna grab these guys. And again, this is just the outside of Arctos Farmos. This is where I get most of them. The other area that we're gonna go to after this has a bunch as well. And again, useful to do it at night. One right here. And would you look at that? A starlight creeper. So, you know, there's always gonna be more. You could even see more fire caps here. I would say, honestly, the more you do this path, the easier it is to just kind of get into the habit of like knowing what to look for, where to look for it. It becomes more intuitive as you do this, as you play. So I wouldn't worry about following exactly the way I'm going, because I am kind of just, I feel like I'm running around in circles, to be quite honest with you guys. Just check out the area around Arctos Farmos. Like, let's see where I am on the map right now. Like, this is where I'm at. Arctos Farmos is right here. We're just circling the building, you know? You can see a couple more here, so we'll go grab these. I like when it's a little bit darker in the game, but you know, we'll take it what we can. There's usually some starlight berries right here, and look at that. Look at that. We got some more. Yeah, I think that's just about it. Just checking one more time, loop in the building. Yeah, I think that was just about it. Yep, so it looks like we got everything from this location. Now where we're gonna head to is we are going to head to the Foundation Outpost. This is the same location as the eviction notice event. If you follow this area down, you can also kind of walk down. I would recommend with a jetpack. To the monorail elevator, there's a handful there as well. So we're just gonna kind of walk the area here. And again, doing this at night, it's so much easier to see. The berries just basically pop out at you. They're screaming at you. So we'll just grab all of these. I'm trying to ping them because I forgot earlier. So we just gotta get in the habit. There's a lot of like kind of brush in this area, you know, like a lot of bushes and stuff. You just gotta pay a little bit more attention, which is again, why I like doing this part at night. It just makes such a world of difference. Some more here, here. It's just like all in these bushes, honestly. Let's take a look at how we're doing. 80, we have 80 firecrackers just off of that, but I do want to show you where like all of them are as much as I can, at least in these two areas. There are other areas to get them, but again, this is my lazy route, okay? And when I say lazy, I really do just mean like, I'm just trying to have fun. So here's where eviction notice takes place. We're just heading down this hill here. There's this little area where some cultists will pop up. Just take care of them. There's some berries around. Grab these guys. There are websites, by the way, that you guys can look up if you are so inclined to find absolutely every location of every fauna in the game. I don't care that much. I don't. I'd rather have fun. I'd rather have a good time, experience joy, whimsy, lightheartedness, friendship, but just throwing it out there. If you care enough and you want to do it, like, dude, do it. Like, who's stopping you? We're gonna get a lot off of this though, so I'm really not even worried. So here's the thing. Right now, with what we've collected, which we're almost at the exact amount of firecrackers that we need, so I'm gonna grab just a handful more just to be safe. We are gonna be more than set because with the chemist perk, which gives us twice as many chems every time we craft, that's gonna give us 200. We're gonna have 200 Berry Mentats. Now with super duper perk card, if that one pops off, we're gonna get even more. Okay, we're gonna get so many more. It's gonna be ridiculous. Like we don't even need all of this, you know? And so that's why it's like, for me, this is like such a thing I do frequently because I like to give them away. Mutual aid and all that, right? So let's see what I'm sitting at right now. Yeah, so 112. So I'm set, but just to show you, there are still more. You can even see them in the distance there. There's some right in that direction, some right here. It's, they're all throughout this area here. And again, as I was saying too, if you head down towards the monorail, so if you head down, what is that, southeast, right there, basically down this path, there's even more throughout there as well. But with that, we are set. So I'm gonna head back to my camp and we're gonna craft these bad boys up. So things to do beforehand, we're gonna check this. So this is the collectron that I was talking about. This is the liberated collectron station. Got this adorable little collectron. Look at that, he's so happy to see you. Wow, we love him. That little guy, he produces some more starlight berries. So it's not like a lot. Grabbing that, we're gonna head to the chem station. And just for good luck, I don't honest to God know if this works. I'm gonna make myself fully bloodied just to make sure I have as much luck as possible. And I also just popped a Nuka Dark, which will give you plus 18 luck if you stack it with the Cola Nut perk, which I always do. We're gonna head to the chem station and we're gonna craft these. That's it. We're gonna go to drugs, Berry Mentats. Even if super duper doesn't pop, which it might not, and I'm not upset about it if it doesn't. I don't care enough. If you care enough, you hit this every single time. Do it one at a time and you'll get it that way too. With just crafting 100, we are going to receive 200. Let's go. And look at that, super duper popped. So I don't remember how many I had right before this, but now we are sitting at 233 Berry Mentats. Not bad for a day's work. I hope this guide helped. I hope you learned something, and yeah, start farming some berry mens. Get your intelligence up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in another video. Go ahead and like, subscribe, leave a comment if you feel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in another video.